We have Guillermo on, and he's a special guest speaker for today. Guillermo lived in Shenzhen for quite a while, and now he's back in Spain. He was very involved in AR and VR, among other things, and he's here to give us some insights and really take us down the road of mixed reality. So let's welcome Guillermo. And yeah, Guillermo, just go ahead and kick things off. Give us a little bit of your background and how you came to Shenzhen and got into AR and VR.
Actually, I'm a master architect, and I came to Shenzhen already 10 years ago, almost 10 years ago, and worked as an architect designer for 6 years. When I saw the chance to move in something that was also very interesting for me, that is the architectural visualization. And I discussed with my colleagues that actually what we do in visualization as designers was better than many companies doing specialized on visualization. And we saw that there was software that in that moment was open for the public use, actually for free, like a Unreal Engine. And we thought there was a chance there to open something new and interesting that can change totally what visualization was for the architecture industry. So we started to work in that project for a few months, like an idea with keeping our work. And after I think it was about 2 months, I told my colleagues like, "Hey, we can do this." So we create MOØKAN. Actually, in that time was not MOØKAN. There was a different name. So we created the first company about VR, and it was already 4 years ago. So actually, we was not even working in VR. We was working, sorry, 5 years ago. So it was not VR exactly. It was more about just real time 3D, where you walk inside. A few months later, we got our first VR headset. So after a while, we was already working on this visualization. We started to work into VR. And after, I think 1 year later, we did our first project for AR. So it has been a progression, starting by a basic technology that is the real-time 3D, and from that, applying different. Actually, it's the most interesting thing that when you talk about VR, you actually don't need to think on VR as a separate thing that is not related to anything else. VR is using the same technology that video games. Video games technology is being used now also in cinema. So, for example, when you go to this show from Disney, The Mandalorian, all the scenarios or most of the scenarios are done in 3D.
Very important piece of information, right? So you're saying that there's a lot of the similarities between video games and VR, AR are very, very intertwined. So you said if you can make a video game, you can get into VR and AR. Is that right? You can
Yes, that's
transition pretty
right.
smoothly. Hmm. Okay. Are we talking about like Sony PlayStation level games or uh, mobile app games or uh, you know like a certain level of game, right? Like high
Okay.
quality versus
The
mid level.
the great thing is actually all of them, because to create a phone video game in a low quality phone, or to create it for a top computer video game, today we use the same technology. And luckily, I mean, you can create your own engine. That is the
Mhm.
hard way to go. But the good thing is take one of the commercial engines, like we work with UE4, but there is others like Unity or Godot,
All right.
so
Mm.
that you can take it, you can use, and you produce there your content. And doesn't matter if it's a video game or it's a movie or it is a VR experience, it's
Okay.
a training. Everything can be
Okay.
done inside the same technology, and that's really easy to make things much more easy to enter. Because actually you learn, and after, depending on what opportunities you get, you can go more for one thing or the other.
Engine or any kind of engine to create video games, and that's usually the first step into getting into VR or AR. Is that right?
Yeah, that's right. So actually, right now, when you told me it's expensive going to start to produce or work in VR
Mhm.
software, my answer is no. Actually, never has been easier. You can use an engine for free, so totally no cost. In some cases, for example, with Unreal, if you are not working on video game specific industry, you have nothing to pay, not even when you release your product. So it's an incredible point for anyone who is working on this industry. And after, if you want to model, you can use very expensive software like 3D Max, or you can even work with Blender that is totally free. So again, if you want to create something in 3D today in VR, there is a lot of resource there that makes totally no cost. I mean, you just need a computer. And actually,
Your
no
computer,
need to be
a little creativity.
you don't need to have even a supercomputer. Of course, if you want to work in the last technology graphics system, you will need. But actually, if you are learning, I highly recommend to work with a small computer that cannot do too much. So you also learn how to optimize and make your work work even in the worst computer. Because as we always say, we know our computers. We love to work with good computers, but our clients never have that computer.
Cool. Well, let me dive into the next question. Was what your perspectives are on the state of VR, and really, over the past decade, VR has taken off. I think around the mid 2000s, it was projected to be the next big thing in terms of development and consumer adoption. But in your perspective, why didn't VR take off like it was predicted to, and why do you think it still has great potential?
Okay, I think it didn't start as people predict because there was a lot of hype. There was a lot of the price of the product wasn't that good for the actual quality you get because at the beginning the various VR sets were very limited, so you can't actually do too much with those. There was nothing to do with them because there was no content. So actually, you get a $900 set, and after you can't do too much. I mean, Big Saber still being one of the best games for VR and was one of the first one. So actually, there was not too much change there, and there was a lot of hype into the video game industry, where actually in VR you cannot be Lara Croft. I mean, you can be a superhero playing a video game. You can jump, you can fly, and when you go into VR, you are the same person that you are in the real world. So you actually cannot jump 3 meters or 6 meters like in the video games. So actually, that's a big inconvenience. Even VR video games can be super cool. So actually, where VR has really a big potential and some is in the professional sector. So it's going slowly. Change things in the big industries is hard. I mean, you need to reach the people there. You need to talk with them, change their mind, or propose this to the people in the high position, the ones who can take decisions there. If there is not a very innovative company, many of the big industry companies has not too much in innovation, or they just say, okay, we want VR, and they just pay something in VR, but do not think on how to change their business into that new technology. It's hard. So, for example, one of our major clients is a big developer. They start with a few small projects working with us, and now they are incorporating our technology, our VR service, for develop every project. At the beginning, when we approached them, they was thinking on use our technology for marketing. I mean, we proposed them for marketing, and they told us, no, we want to develop, we want to check what we design before build. And since that, in the last 3 years, we have been developing tools to help them to visualize the projects before they build. And they still building real mockups. It's very hard to switch the mind on the very high positions, but time by time they are changing and trusting every time more on just the VR mockup and do not go for the real mockup. So they are saving a lot of money. They are saving time on their managers because before they need to make a lot of travels to see the mockups, to visit, to have meetings. Now they can visit that mockups into VR, so they can meet people from different offices, from different parts of the world into the model in VR. Now we are working on animated avatars. So when they go to the VR, they can have their face expression, because right now they are just in VR like a little bubble flying there. It's okay because they can point things, they can speak, but they cannot really have a human interaction. So our next level is just to bring their face into the VR. So when they speak, the avatars will speak, so they will have a much more natural conversation. And that will also help people from the old people in the industry to get more easy inside the technology. So it's not the VR has not go rocket. I mean, there are I think HTC is talking about 2 million devices. PlayStation is about 6 or maybe 10 million devices. So yeah, there is a lot of devices there. There is a lot of people using VR, and it's getting more and more, but not like a hype, as they say, just slow, growing, and it's getting better and better with the technology and the content. We all in the technology has learned a lot. And I remember many companies at the beginning did a very bad work. So many clients discovered like, hey, this is not what we expect. So actually bring them back to the, hey, but VR was not what you test 4 years ago by that company. VR is this. And when they see what we can do now, they are pretty happy to work with us.
Wow. I want to dive into AR a little bit because you mentioned like some of the technology that came out earlier this decade was we could call it subpar now, but you know there was eyeglass, or I'm sorry, not eyeglass. Was it
Google Glass.
Google Glass? Google Glass, yeah. And now eyeglass is coming out soon. I mean, how do you see AR coming into the picture now? You know, AR glasses, and do you think? I mean, I don't think they'll replace phones by any means, but they'll definitely be a new extension, you know, new accessory to everyday life. But how do you see it?
Okay, the first point is AR in phones is actually amazing. This handheld AR is the most used. We use that one. Probably you have tried things like the IKEA furniture AR, where you can put furniture pieces in your house and see how it will look when you if you put there the actual one. So that's amazing because you can place and start to interact things that are virtual inside the inside the real world. I know about that. There are many names different. Some people call already that mixed reality. For us, that is the augmented reality because it's when you start to mix that augmented reality with these elements from the virtual world, and that's pretty amazing. You can have very interesting games and experiences. I don't know exactly why it haven't become more popular. Probably because it only works really well on iOS. So in iOS you have a consistent AR technology. In Android it's more complex because it works only for some devices, usually only high quality. So it's not so good. But recently becomes very popular these animals from Google that you can put animals and the people take pictures with AR animals inside with their phones. So that level of AR is already pretty good. It's a first step. The next level, this kind of HoloLens 2 is really nice and it's growing again until the moment you get a full view with this AR technology. Now you have this little screen that is a little percentage of your view, what you can see with that augmented. But now the latest model I have seen, they have already a very wild field of view. So that means you have already a good AR. And at the same time, this is going together in between VR headsets and AR headset. You are getting better sensors for your hands. So you can have tracking of your hands. And that's important because if you want to interact with that world, you need to use your hands. So, and later you need time. People forget that when Windows 95 comes to the market, people was not used to work with the mouse. So Windows 95 includes these 4 video games, this sorry, I don't know the name on English for this game because I played when I was a little kid, just in Spanish. But they came
Yeah,
with
like
four video games to play cards.
yeah, solitaire. Solitaire was one, right?
Yeah, yeah. So why the solitaire was included for free inside Windows? It just was a little trick to let the people use the mouse because there was people that was trying to use Windows only with a keyboard as they used before, as
Hmm.
MS-DOS. So now we forgot that to learn to use the mouse was a hard thing to do. Now for us, we just take the mouse and we know how it will work on the screen, but was not that easy. And when you are teaching a little kid to use the mouse at the beginning, you see, it's not that obvious. So VR, AR, all those things are the same. You work with a keyboard and you know you have a feedback from your fingers tips dipping. When you are
Hmm.
using a keyboard in AR, you have no feedback. And you need to replace that by user experience. You need to have some, there are ideas about these haptic gloves that are amazing,
Hmm.
but people is not going to use that. I mean, you are not going to be wearing that gloves every time. Uh, so it's a practical technology for very experimental things. But if you want mass adoption, you need to things that are just easy and that do not require nothing extra.
Hmm.
So AR is going to be there. It's getting amazing. The latest tests I've seen are really well. Probably the big limitation is that you need good sensors for the hands. They are coming
Hmm.
in VR. The latest release from Oculus Quest is really nice. You have also the Valve, also the latest device, also have a very good tracking system. So we will have each time more and more technology to do that tracking of your hands and your body. We also need a good processor to give you a good quality picture because at the end, if you have very old style graphics, it's not going to be well. And at the same time, if you are a request, you need to be connected to a powerful computer to have a good graphic quality. It's going to be a big limitation because you want to walk free with this technology around. So you don't want to have be connected to a computer. But all those technologies are going, keep going evolving. It's nothing stuck. It's not like, oh, we have reached a limitation on the graphic technology that cannot be better. No, it's not like that.
Hmm.
We know it's not.
Cool. I'll move into the next part. So you did live in Shenzhen for quite a long time. Uh, could you give any examples of interesting VR, AR applications that you saw within the Greater Bay Area, whether it was in Shenzhen or Hong Kong, Guangzhou, or maybe even other parts of China?
Okay, yeah. We have seen quite a few interesting projects there. And as I say, it's not just about AR, VR. I would put all those technologies about real-time 3D together. And for example, one amazing project is this Shanghai has become already, they have built a 3D model of the full city of Shanghai.
Wow.
And that's incredible because it's amazing, for example, for the city management. I know the Shenzhen government has also a model like that, has been working like 10 or 15 years in the 3D model of Shenzhen. But, and they was not working on this technology, so they probably need to follow Shanghai sample. And that's amazing for the city management. So to understand how it is, the opportunity to know what you are doing in one road can change. For example, now imagine how you can do the simulations for the traffic when you have actually all the city traffic there. And imagine over that, you can also use that model that is a full city, a very complex city like Shanghai or Shenzhen also can be a very complex city to do
Mhm.
to train a bot for car driving. So that's amazing. And the car driving technology, for example, inside these VR models or 3D models, uh, it's a very good way to make that car straight, no? Because before you need to run a real car in between real people, and that can be hard if you are testing technology. So it's better you test inside a computer in a virtual world, actually, like in Matrix, no? Actually, you are doing
The Matrix.
you are playing. This bot think he's driving a real car, but the bot is actually just driving a virtual car in a virtual world.
I
That's
never. Wow. Wow, that's incredible. I've seen more car companies in China and even in southern China are starting to use VR, AR, even maybe even more so AR, just for different things. Have you also seen that in the automobile industry?
Okay, I cannot talk too much about that. We are
Yeah.
in conversation with one of bigger companies in the industry for on the car industry. We are working we are conversations for a project with using AR
Okay.
and the human interaction inside the car. Because at the end, the future of car driving, with all these self-driving technologies, is about uh, improve the human experience. What you will do in that car when you are not doing nothing, where you are doing nothing. So you are gonna
Mm.
be just waiting to reach a place, so no one is gonna be driving, and what you will do there with them.
So we're talking like you remember in the movie Minority Report, right? Like the big clear screens that you just move objects with your fingers. Is it something like that? Or are you even allowed to talk about it?
Okay, no. We are not talking exactly so much in the future, but right now, just
uh,
about that context, because each time you see the cars are getting bigger and bigger screens, the
yeah.
driver start to get replace the wheel for a bigger screen or more information. So you get information, you get media, and you want a better interaction, a more human interaction. So that's something that you need. All the companies are working because
Mm.
actually there are a few companies working on these self-driving cars, and other companies are just thinking about to implement that self-driving car when other companies sell that technology to them. So many companies just consider they will use Google self-driving cars or other self-driving technology, but they are not going to implement. What they need to implement is what makes that technology different inside their cars, and that is the experience, that the user experience, and all that is going to be about uh, environments in 3D or kind of user interfaces that are going to be working in between the AR and VR, depending on the state of the technology.
So I'm not exactly talking holograms, are we?
Uh,
Or
not Not yet on holograms. I mean, we have discussed about holograms, but the problem is right now there is not hologram technology like really useful. There is
okay.
also, for example, these limitations. There are very nice projects that project kind of holograms into the front window in the car
Wow.
glass, so in the driver glass, but actually it's not haven't go well in the future because there is a lot of limitations on the about the distractions for the driver. So actually, right now you cannot put something that may distract the driver from what is should be his focus of attention, that is the driving. So right now most of these technologies are about the future. In that moment when the driver is gonna disappear, and also about the entertainment for the other people inside the car.
hmm
So how to make all the people in the car get a better experience inside the car.
just let me clarify. When you say VR inside the car, are we actually talking about people putting on a VR set while they're in the car, or having
Yeah,
just a more
actually, no,
immersive experience
sorry,
while
yeah.
they're inside the car,
Yeah, no, actually
like
not VR,
without wearing a
AR.
VR headset?
We are talking right now
AR.
for this first step. What we are talking right now is a combination between the screens, the car
Mm-hmm.
screens that are in
The
the
car
panels, in the
screens.
front panel, and the AR headsets like Hololens.
HoloLens. Okay.
Yeah, but in this case right now is on for the driver is only on the main panel, and for the co-pilot and the passengers in the back we have AR sets.
Okay. Like, would the car windows be sort of like AR screens, or does that sound too crazy?
I mean, I have no idea about that. It may be. I think, I mean, like everything, you should consider the size of the screen. So probably one good idea about the HoloLens is because are very close to your eyes, the size of the screen is not that big. So
Yeah.
the bigger, but at the same time, to make that effect is also very complex. So all these things are extra that you will have. I mean, we do not develop the hardware, so we actually develop just the software solutions for the all this implementation. And as I say, the good thing is once you start to work inside these technologies, it developing the content. it's not that complex. Go to one hardware solution or a different hardware solution. You need to think about how you are gonna make that experience, because if you are gonna work in with your the people is gonna interact with your hands, it's not the same that if they're gonna use their finger on a screen. So you need to create different utilities or different ways to interact. But the technology behind that is all the same, and that's amazing. So, and after there is a lot of discussion, because there is when you work in a project like that, you need to talk with what the marketing people think, what the company think they can do, put inside their car, the technical people. There are all the technical people from the hardware side, and it's really complex. This kind of projects.
Wow, really? So you involve different departments, the marketing, IT, technical, UX. Everybody's involved, right? Because it's such a holistic experience.
Yeah.
Oh, that's cool. Do you think Shenzhen is going to be the first city to really roll out this kind of UX and within cars? Or
Car industry is kind of worldwide. I mean,
I was thinking within China.
Yeah. I mean, but actually, I mean, I know Shenzhen is doing a lot of effort to bring all the VR, AR technology companies inside. But actually, there are many cities in China fighting to be the focus and the center of these technologies. So in the cars, I mean, Shenzhen have a big thing that is BYD.
Yeah.
I'm not in communication with BYD, so I don't know what they are doing. I cannot talk for them. What we are talking is other companies, and they are not in Shenzhen, so I cannot say if Shenzhen is going to be the one having the first car. But again, once they develop this technology and they will implement in their cars, you will see cars all around the world, because it's a global company. So it's being developed. We are developing in Shenzhen that with people in other parts of China, and discussing with people around the world. So
wow, big stuff. Yeah, and actually, so going on that, you just said that you've done work in the automobile industry. What other kinds of work do you do in VR and AR? I know you mentioned in your introduction design and architecture and so forth, but maybe you could give some examples of those kinds of work.
Sure, I can share the screen. Actually, the first I would like to show about, we were talking about these interactions and doing things. So we are implementing this first test we have developed to discuss with some clients. It's about these human avatars. So let me try to put here, and I'm gonna share now the screen. Where it is? Okay, here it is. So, okay, hello. Sorry, the avatar in this case is a female. So usually another people in my company use this avatar, not me. But you can see I'm imposing a virtual avatar, and I can speak. And this actually is using my face, my mouth, speak to give animation to the character. And that's amazing, because I'm doing this just with a simple camera. I don't need a super complex technology like 5 years ago, 3 years ago, to capture the human face and put that into a virtual character. And I also don't need post-production. I'm doing in real time. So I'm gonna.
What did you say this is for?
This is actually we are using in a few projects at the same time. Let me go back to the normal face, because I don't feel very comfortable using this female character. But in this case, we are developing in a few lines. In part, we are developing this as a tool. As I mentioned before, we want in our VR experience give the users the ability to speak inside VR. So it's a very important thing that when they are inside the VR, they are not just a mask or something flying in the VR. We want them to have a face, and we want them to have a face that can speak and can look. Because if I talking you about the space where we are, because our company works mostly for architecture design. So if we was talking about a design, and we are in VR, and I point in one direction, and you see I'm pointing there, you have clear. And if you look, you see my eyes are looking there, you see we are in a natural conversation in the real space. And that natural feeling needs to capture your face and put that into the computer. And that's really cool. For example, again, the latest version of the latest headset by this company, Valve, they include the cameras for the eyes and the mouth, so we can bring your face into the VR. Not your face exactly, but the movement of your face into an avatar. And that's one of the things we are working out to implement. And at the same time, we are developing this for other projects, but I cannot speak too much about that. any case, all these kind of projects for long term are in years. What that means, we are talking about now a project with cars that maybe if everything goes well, you may see in a car in 2 years, not now. So some things need long time in between development and all the people and to get into a final product. So that's also a point to consider.
Wow. So you really got to be a specialist, and it's such a new industry, right? That there's not many specialists, agencies like yourself that are able to do this kind of work.
There is no one specialized in this industry for anything. What that means? There are people who has worked in VR for 30 years. I know Dean Parks from Disney has VR for 30 or 40 years, and they tell you there are limits on the technology that cannot be solved, has been solved. Recently, once there come a lot of investment and a lot of people thinking on it. But right now there are people who has been working on the new VR in 5, 6 years, and they have developed this technology. So actually, yes, they are experts. But the most important to be an expert on this is to be open and be learning every day, because every day you find new technology, new solutions, and you just need to be changing. So the best expertise you can have is the expertise to be switching and to be able to be always on the latest thing, no? So to be ready to change.
Cool. And on that note, so you have a studio in Shenzhen and also in Spain where you're at. What are the roles of each person?
Okay, we have many different roles, and actually we start a company very simple. I mean, the founders we were all master architects, so we were designers. And one of the things we recommend to everybody is if you are going to work in this kind of technologies, it's good to have one skill about communication. And when I say communication, it's about drawing or express quickly. So we recommend to everybody, if you are going to learn about these technologies, any of them, it's an amazing idea to know how to draw by your hands. I mean, everybody thinks, no, you can draw in the computer. Doesn't matter, you can draw in the computer. You need to draw with your hands because you're going to be talking with people who has no idea what you're talking about. So, for example, we are architects, and we work with many people who is just 3D modelers that has been drawing buildings in 3D for many years for traditional visualization, and you need to speak in a way they understand. And you may like to talk with technical words as an architect, and they may not understand. So you need to draw. And if you can draw that in 5 minutes or in just 20 seconds with your hand, you have jumped a huge barrier. And if you have an idea with an artist who is not related to anything about 3D, but he's just about doing the technical art, if you can draw that, they can solve. So first thing, you need people who can draw in 3D, because mostly what we are going to have is content in 3D. And for that, we have people specialized on 3D modeling for architecture. We have people specialized on 3D modeling for furniture. That sometimes when easy furniture is simple, but when you have some complex furniture, you want people who are specialized on give that natural feeling of soft fabrics there. And after we have people specialized on clothing, because clothing is hard. So
Clothing, huh?
yeah, clothing in 3D.
3D clothing. Oh, okay.
So actually, again, it's a different. It's also 3D modeling, but not the same. And we have no people, but we want to because we are developing these characters in 3D. we are about to grow in the area of the modeling for 3D humans, characters. So it's also a way. Right now we don't have people there. We have people specialized in materials because to give the high quality final ending materials, you need the artists specialized just in materials. Most of the people in the company can do a few things, not just one. But we have one person that is the specialist in materials. And after we have a technical artist. Right now we only have one, who is a software engineer, but actually he likes more the art part than the coding. But it's important to have someone who can code because in VR there is not everything is not solved. So while in traditional rendering you can just find a material to do almost everything, if you want some specific material in VR, sometimes you have the shader and you need to code your own shader. So to have a technical artist in your team who can code specific solutions for you, it's also a very nice part. There are people that is kind of a Swiss Army knife that can do almost everything, and you can find these freelancers there that are amazing people. And so, for example, I always recommend that people be able to draw because that gives you a superpower when you are talking in these industries because you are generate something that is visual. So if you can draw that idea, it's an amazing thing. But also learn math and coding. Uh, and that's a very important thing because, for example, today is not like you can put one window 20 times, but if you know how to code that window, it's not, you are not, maybe you take the time of doing that window 5 to code how to model that window automatically. But if you need to later change, you change in 1 second. And you say to the computer, recalculate the new windows, and you do it. And maybe you have a design where you have 2,000 windows. And if you have made, and all of them are different, if you have explained the computer how to draw that window, you don't need to draw 2,000 times. That's a crazy amount of time. So you become a superpower when you can code. And to code, you need math. So also it's a very powerful thing. I remember the first time I find useful my math from the university using in coding, and that day you feel like, hey, wow, I can do super cool things. And I remember it was like we have a system to how to do. Okay, it was a self-design building, and we have, but we need in one step to choose what elements what inside and which elements what outside. And that in that moment, probably if I were a programmer, I know about that. Working a programmer working on visual things, I would probably sure know that. But I didn't know because I wasn't a programmer. I haven't that formal experience. But I remember about math, and I said, hey, I remember in math we do about vectorial multiplications. If you have a vector and you make a vectorial multiplication, you get positive or negative according if it's in the inside of the, or the outside of the line. So what we code is was something simple like, hey, take every point, make a vector to the line, and make the multiplication vector in between that vector and the normal in the line. In that moment, we do a tool that saves hours and hours of us classifying points inside or outside. 3 months later, it comes by default in that software we were working, the solution. But in that moment, we did something super cool and we save a lot of time and make possible the project comes on time. So yeah, you need math. It's amazing to know not just art. So if you have an art background, learn something about technical things. If you have a technical background, try to learn a little about drawing. So in that way, you get superpowers. Really.
Wow. Yeah, man, this is a perfect segue into the next question. So say I have an idea or a plan for a VR AR app, but I'm not a developer. How and why can VR engineers and developers collaborate with entrepreneurs, maybe even non-technical people? How can they work together? Because and actually this hinges on another thing that I was told was there are a lot of talented developers out there in the space, but as far as like big ideas or applicable ideas, there aren't as much synergy happening between developers and entrepreneurs, right? Like entrepreneurs are out there in the field, developers are, in a studio. How can they collaborate and yeah, just I don't know where I'm trying to get at, but
It's really complex. I mean, that question I probably is the big question, no? How
Mhm.
everybody can work together. The first thing is for small developers. Sometimes people think, "Hey, I have this idea. Why if you develop this for me?" And it's like I also have ideas. So actually, we have plenty of ideas. What we need is time or budget to develop those ideas. So the moment is, but also at the same time, is for the developer need to go out of that mind. Like, hey, yeah, you have your ideas, you have your skills, but you also need that budget to develop the ideas. So actually, you need to find if you are the developer, be open to other people's idea that can bring the budget, that can bring the project for you, because at the end, maybe you have a fantastic idea, but the brands have no useful use case for that idea. So how you can make that becomes a product that someone can use? You need to talk with those who can find that. For example, imagine if it's a game, okay, you need to find people on the video game industry to bring the budget and they need to approve, or you go for this Kickstarter alternative crowdfunding system. So it's more separated. But if you want to work with other companies and develop something that can be useful for them, you need to sit with them. You need to find what can be useful for them. And after, even your ideas can be super cool, you need to also hear them because they also have their systems, they have their solutions, and maybe they are wrong. But you need to go step by step and need to propose something that is useful for them and at the same time that they can like it. That's complex. I mean, it's about to sit many times in having meetings. It's good to have in that moment people who is specialized on those conversations. Many developers forgot that they have the vision, they have an idea, vision, they have a very path straight because they know the technology, they know what they want to do, they know how that works. But after, you need to talk in business talk. And I can tell, I haven't that experience. I have a partner that is doing that. They are business developers, professional business developer, and when you are in a meeting with them and the other companies, you say, why they speak so many bullshit? They are not going anywhere. It's like, let me talk. I know how it works. It's gonna be in this way and this way, but you need to let the people from the business talk in their way, having all the conversations and reach the final point. Uh, so I know it's complex, but it's also important to understand that it's not, and that people is not talking just bullshit. Actually, they are doing really important things and taking important steps on make the project become succeed. For the technical side, seems crazy the conversations. You sometimes may think that they are wasting time, but actually it's very important to have all those conversations and to be sure that everybody agrees about what is going to be done. So yeah, it's important. So also in the team, it's important to have business developers who are totally not related to the technical side. It's important you have a lot of conversation with your team that they fully understand what the company is doing, what you can actually do. But you also need to understand when you are working on these technologies that yeah, you can have a service and very specific and very clear and sell it very easily, like video games. People in the video game, I mean, you have an idea of a video game, you just show the people what is your game about, and if they like, they buy. But if you want to work with companies, you need to have a lot of the B2B business has a lot of tradition. And the point that you can have a very good product doesn't mean you have the skill to sell a very good product. And after you have the circumstances like video conference has been here for I don't know how long. Skype has been how many years going on, and now Skype have a boom because coronavirus. So you never can be sure about all these things. You can try to get advantage. So of course, VR video conference is a hot topic now. We try to get advantage of that, but you also need to work with the people and let them learn because at the end when you are taking decisions, for example, I'm running a company. When someone contacts me to propose me some specific solution that they have something that is very good, you're busy. You have no time, and maybe they are bringing something amazing, and sometimes you just say, "Oh, sorry, not interested." So you have other people who get that calls that understand that, and if they consider it's interesting, and maybe they are not technical, so actually they don't have the skills to understand if it really is interesting. They will evaluate and they will bring when they think it's good. So if that happened in my small startup, imagine in a huge company that have 2,000 employees. It's impossible to reach the decision-making people the first day. You need a lot of effort. You need to go first. You need to have, and you need people specialized on that, and do that communication. So it's
Wow.
important not only be super powerful on the technical side. I mean, if
Hmm.
you are super powerful on the technical side, put your papers there, publish it, and try to show the people that you have something super cool. But if you are on the business, developing a software that, I mean, where you are doing the best you can do, but at the same time, there are other competitors and they are doing something similar. What you need to do is a lot of business development. And it's not only the technical
Business
part, it's not
development.
only the technical people and the artist people.
Business development. Well, there's a few ways of describing it, really, but just building relationships and sales channels with other companies. Knowing the key people, knowing what they want, and be able to deliver things timely, efficiently, uh, managing a lot of different things, communication between two sides. Is that how you would describe the business development part of VRAR?
Yeah, for sure.
In a nutshell, how would you describe the process of making a VR or AR application? Just very broadly, step by step. What does it look like?
Okay, in your case, mostly we work for the general case we work is for architectural visualization. We have already created a template that is how the user interface is built, how the network communication works. All the things are built on a template. Our team, we have one engineer working on that template permanently, so he's improving new tools there. And so that part is in one side. And we have a specialized in one side. And in the other side, we have the specific by project development, where we start analyzing what we got the design from our client. In this case, we work with our client bring the design. So first, we need to get in just very quickly, usually in 1 day to 3 days, analyze the project and split in different parts. Like say, okay, this is furniture, so this for the furniture team. This is architecture, going this way. But now architecture is the biggest part in our business, so we separate in different steps. So we say, okay, these are elements that are going to be repeated on the project. So there is some people specialize on the elements, and other people that do the general space. And for that general space, we say, okay, so these rooms are similar. For example, the bathrooms. So we are going to have the same bathrooms everywhere. So you are going to do the bathrooms. You are going to do these kind of rooms. I don't know, living rooms. And we are going to put later all together. And after we have a final step that going on through all this geometry to find that if there is any gap in between. Because at the end, traditional video game industry takes a very long time to develop. They have that time to develop. We play with incredible short times. Our client wants, we love if we can provide the solution back in just 1 day. But we still need between 2 weeks to 1 month, depending on the project. So we need to, and when we are talking 10,000 square meters of with 200 rooms, can be crazy
Wow,
to
yeah, yeah.
develop in just 1 month. And after we have the art team, so the texture, so they start to work at the same time. We start to work on the architecture. They got all the materials and start to develop the specific materials of that project. So once the geometry is done, we can start to apply all the materials there, and the lighting that also usually we add in once the geometry is done. So when they prepare the materials, they also prepare the specific lightings for the lamps. So we have I mean, every lamp usually they have shutters, so the light that they project is not the same. So to optimize that on the computers, for example, we pre-calculate how it's gonna work, and after we just add kind of a sticker of the light, how the light works, a pre-calculation. So it's gonna give a much more exact result and much more efficiently. So there is a lot of work to go on there. And once we have it, we send to the client quickly a few times in the middle, so they can check, they can see that it looks what they are expecting to see. And usually, once we send the final package, we still have a review over that. And in the process of 1 month, 1 month and a half, we can have a huge project already in VR. The people or clients can go inside, can discuss the design, can discuss, they can order to the designers, change the design, the engineers can review that, that everything goes back to us. We do an update on the project, and that's our process.
So yeah, pretty comprehensive. Okay. Yeah, I think we're getting towards the end, right? So the last question might be, how can one get started in an AR VR career, right? Whether it's on the business development side or it's the developer side.
Okay, the first you need to know something because about something, no? So you need to have some skills. So, for example, to have a career, some degree in your background is good. Doesn't matter which one it is. For example, I am a master architect, so I have good skill drawing. I wasn't a specialist on parametric design, so I was already onto coding. I also get some funds when I was a student by doing 3D graphics for other people. So I have also that skills before I started in VR industry. So I was in some way already there. So you need to have some skills. So if your skills are on the development, so you need to have that skills. And doesn't matter. It can be about 3D art. It can be about music. I mean, all this VR content needs music, needs sound, needs effects. But if you are on that way, become a specialist on the technical side, on how that sounds on the computer, how it works technology to specialize music inside a computer. After there is if you are in the business side, if you are a person who in your background you have legal career, business development, administration, all that. I mean, at the end, a company needs everybody. So, for example, even if you are in human resource, you need to learn about how VR works, what is needed to create a project, a VR project. Because, for example, one of our problems is like, yeah, you want people specialized to work in VR, you want to recruit, and you ask a person from human resource company to help you to find that people. The problem is that person, the human resource people, have no idea what you need, what the skills are needed in this project because they have no idea how VR works. So actually, being specialized on how a VR project works is important for everybody. Doesn't matter if you work in human resource, doesn't matter if you work on the business side, or doesn't matter if you work on the art side. I mean, for some clients, we send sometimes like a proposal like, hey, would you like this? How about this design? And we send just a drawings. So a conceptual artist, it's amazing to have them in your team. So it doesn't matter what you do, you can focus on the VR industry, AR industry. Just you need to know how to apply that. So, but of course, the best way to learn specific skills about develop VR content as a developer, that is what I more know. I know better. It's just go internet. There is plenty of full information just for free. Open YouTube. I don't know. Okay, Baidu. Open Baidu, Yoku, and search for a lot of content. There's amazing amount of content. You don't need to know the solution for everything, but you need to know the solution how to find the solution. And the good thing is there are forums with people discussing every single problem you already have, because someone has found that before. And if not, it's amazing you can open and start a conversation with other people who may help you. And after, maybe you can hire that people. I mean, sometimes you find people is very helpful there on the internet. So also, way if you have the skills but you have no job, go online and let the people know what you do. Let the people help other people, and maybe they can come back and say, "Hey, you helped me on this solution, or you did this solution for this specific problem, uh, but we have the same but a little different. Can you adapt that for us?" And that can become a job. So it's good to go there and share with the people, community, and other professionals what you can do and and show how you can do it. Let me say just something very simple.
Okay.
VR, AR, MR, all of them are the same. It's real time 3D graphics in some specific hardware. If you work with any video game engine like Unreal Engine or the Unity Engine or Godot, with all of them you can package your software for any solution, AR, VR, on a screen, on an iPhone, whatever. So don't worry too much about that. Just go for that.
So that will include links to your studio, your portfolio, whatever else you want to link. And yeah, people can follow your work, reach out to you if they have any questions or comments or anything else. Yeah.
Okay, so yeah, we are MOØKAN. Our website is mokan.gagodoreste.com. So better I give you the link. We have if you're in China to follow us, the best is following LinkedIn and WeChat. We have a WeChat company page. So, and luckily we do not publish too much because most of our projects are confidential. So, sorry, I forgot to show you any project on VR.
Oh yeah.
Can I do?
Yeah, let's
When we
do
have
it.
time? Okay, so
Yes.
Let me show something here. Okay, I'm gonna show this is a live video using one of our projects. This was a project in Spain. It's one here. Okay, so share screen. Oh, I was sharing screen all the time?
No, it's just been your camera.
Oh,
there we go.
Okay, so this is someone using or
Is this a VR or AR?
Right now it's just on the screen. This is an APP on the screen. It's using someone who is using a mouse. So this solution is solved to have a meeting where the people need to share a screen. So it's better to have a conference. So you can walk inside the project, the design. You can move. This is very similar to what you can find in a normal video game. You have a body. So when you are in network, so there are many people inside the same project, you can see where they are because they have a body.
Sorry, really quick. What is this for again?
This case is for architecture developers.
Oh, this is for architecture developers.
Yeah. So for example, here they can quickly change from one room to another. They have this wide model to evaluate the space better because with the color it's hard to see actually just the space. We have that grid that allows the people to see just better the dimensions. We can also twitch a little bit on the lighting so the people can check if they are using the right lamps or they want to change to another kind of lamp, or even to test some color combinations before they build. So quickly, in a few seconds, they can take decisions on the final design. They can take pictures, so they have make a unique design because they have switched the colors for one specific combination, and they take renders, so they don't need to color that. Oh, sorry, I need power. Okay, here it is. So again, they take pictures, so they don't need any more a render company to take pictures for them. This is real time. And later, for example, once we are done with all of this, we can even go to VR. So now, for example, we are in flight mode, so we can fly, we can walk, and if we now the video will change. Okay, we can have tools. I mean, all the tools, so you can take nice pictures. And now go to the VR. So now the same person in the same computer using a VR headset can go into VR. They can walk inside. So they move inside the project, and they have the experience like being there. And that's amazing because that experience is unique for each person. For example, the height of your eyes is going to be your real height. So people are beginning to say, oh, this is like 1.8 meter people. I say, no, it's your height. And that's the important thing. So when you go also down, you can see from down, you can look under the tables. That is something we find that people always do into the VR. They say if the models are well done, it's like, oh, this design is everything is well done. They have draw up the underside, and of course we draw also the underside. So this is a small project we have published, but most usually the projects we work are much bigger. But because they are for big hotels, we cannot publish it.
Oh wow! So yeah, a lot of your clients are actually hotels.
Yeah.
That's interesting. So, and you offer them two options, right? Like one is the 2D, or we can even call it 3D, and the other is totally immersive VR.
Actually, I mean, it's the same software right now. Before we did in two different separate software, but right now we use just one software where, as you see, just one click and you switch from the screen to the VR. And actually, also, we always offer to them a promotional video that is also easy to share because, I mean, share a video is very easy. So let's share screen. This one here. Oh, no, this video. Not the live video. Okay. Oh, here is not the live video. Okay, so I show you this. For example, this is a market.
This is a mock-up.
Market. This
Sorry,
is a market. This is about a project, and this is the promotional video.
Oh, this is a market. Okay. Like
so
a supermarket.
It was the plaza. No, not a supermarket. It's a traditional one in a small village. They have the plaza.
Okay.
They have everything. So they have the new square design and the renovation of the old building. So this is an outside. It's not the same quality. Actually, this project is not so really too much because it's a very small project. Let me share if I can. No, this project for clients cannot show. Okay, again, another small square in a small village. So we also include the video, promotional video, so they can easily use that. We have also the application that goes on the screen and in VR. So now the application VR and the screen and also online. That's a very important thing because now mostly with the COVID, for clients they cannot meet anymore in person, so they need to because they have offices all around the world and they have work with designers from all around the world. And before they host the meetings in Hong Kong or Macau, and now they cannot do that. Actually, even the teams that are split in between Macau and Hong Kong, they cannot meet themselves. So our VR tools has been a great thing to help them.
Do they actually meet inside these hotels, like virtually?
Yeah.
Wow. So they get to enjoy that luxurious experience, but totally virtually.
They design. They are designing and developing it. So actually, it's good for them because they can discuss. Imagine they are discussing like instead of taking the blueprints of the building and discuss like I think this column is too big or is too small. They just go there and they see, yeah, it looks fine. It doesn't look fine. And the people who is not the professionals, but they are the decision makers, the developer side, they can go there and they say, I think this color is not, I don't like the color, or they say, this is the ceiling is too low. Can we change that? And they can discuss with the designers inside the building before they build. And the price for that before when means to make a mock-up that take a few months, that costs really a lot. I mean, it's the same price that build the actual one, but more expensive because it's actually a small piece. So the price is incredibly high, and now we save a lot of money. They save a lot of natural resource because that was everything wasted. So also it's much more green, and they save a lot of time on managers flying all around the world to have meetings in Hong Kong or Macau to see that mockups. So
Wow.
really a game-changing tool.
Game changer. And yeah, actually, I know I was supposed to wrap things up, but I did have another question. I mean, what would be the advantages of doing this kind of business in the Greater Bay Area? You know, you mentioned Hong Kong, Macau, Shenzhen, of course. Yeah.
Okay, there is a lot of technical people there with a lot of experience. There are also, in your case, a lot of people with experience on the architectural development. Shenzhen has been also a big reference in China for construction. Groups like Banke are from Shenzhen, and there is a lot of architects. So actually, for us, that we start from the architectural side was a very good point to start. Many developers in China consider that point for China is very good, and also they have an incredible thing. Shenzhen is in China, but at the same time is very quickly connected to Hong Kong and Macau. That is their gate for all the world. So actually, it's a huge advantage for our business.
Right. So there's lots of technical talent in the Greater Bay, especially Shenzhen. So even if there's a language barrier, right? As long as you have a product manager or somebody who can liaise, you know, in English and Mandarin or Cantonese, then you know you can maybe set up an agency or at least work.
我想如果你说中文好一点，但是
Yeah.
中文真的不好。
Yeah.
So actually, my Chinese is not so good, but I have the basic skills to speak a little bit with my team. My team usually speak better. Some of them speak better English than my Chinese, so we usually speak Chinese.
Chinglish.
Yes.
Oh, it's
Yeah.
It's Chinese, English, Spanish all together. Wow.
No, I don't think my team is going to speak Spanish.
No hablo español. Okay. Yeah. Okay, man. I think that's a really great way to end. We covered a lot, really. Very, very grateful for your time, man.